Hello and welcome to everyone today. My guest is Bkfc fighter Joey Angelo. So, Joey, can you please say a few words about yourself to introduce our fans and to proceed with the interview? Go for it.
How's it going, guys? Yeah, this is Joey Angelo. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and I currently fight for the bare knuckle fighting championships. So it's been a good road so far.
Yeah, amazing, just amazing. When did you start training martial arts? I saw that you competed in many martial arts. So
Yeah, I started competing in martial arts it was boxing around 8 years old back home in New York, and then I went competitive around 12, and then the rest is history. But I've done karate tournaments, boxing, Muay Thai, um, MMA, obviously. Now it's bare knuckle. So I've done a little bit of everything.
so I assume you started training when you were very young, or
Yeah, I started at 8 years old training just for self defense reasons, and then it blossomed into a career, which I didn't think it was gonna happen.
can we discuss your nickname?
Cinderella Man. Yeah, it's well, everyone thinks it was it was from the movie, but the actual term means to have a second chance, much like Cinderella, the actual fairy tale. I was gonna retire from MMA. I'm 6-1 in MMA on a 6-fight win streak, but for some reason I wasn't getting picked up by the UFC or Bellator or ONE FC. Um, I was at 30 at the time, and I said, which was last year. I said I'm just kind of hang them up. I'm making somewhat money, but the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And then bare knuckle hit me up, and that was my second chance. It was good money, shorter rounds. It's easier on the body, and I didn't think I was gonna love it this much because kicking, my Muay Thai is my forte, but I love it. So yeah, the Cinderella Man. That's I got my second chance at fighting. I didn't have to hang him up too early.
Very interesting story. Who are your
Yeah.
coaches?
My coach is Kofi Jantua. He's from Ghana. He's a world champion boxer, um, and he's been helping me out big time, making sure my boxing is extremely sharp, and he's just been killing me, pushing me to limits I never thought I had.
Do you have a favorite punch?
My favorite punch,
Yeah.
left straight, my power. So
Uh,
it's I like to set guys up as a southpaw. It's my favorite punch.
Outstanding. You said Bkfc did something MMA didn't do. They picked you up off the waivers and so on. So, what did the Bkfc offer that MMA didn't offer?
I think a bigger platform for notoriety and more money. And I didn't get into the sport for money, but as the years went by, as my training and as my career progressed, so did my personal life. So did my family, my 4 children. So I do it for the money and and the love. But BKFC offered me more money than I've gotten paid in my last 4 fights. And boys. So I have 2 very big dogs that are
No
fighting right
problem,
now.
no problem.
And and the notoriety, the platform that I can get my name out there. So yeah, BKFC, they treat me well. Feldman runs a tight ship over there as the owner, and yeah, I like it so far.
Yeah. Can we talk about your professional MMA debut?
Oh man, that was a rough one. I fought my pro debut was in 2011 or 12. It was rough. So Sandy was a Hurricane Sandy, I think, hit New York pretty badly, my hometown, and it meant a lot for me for my dad to come out here and watch me fight in Vegas. And he did everything he could, and he actually made it out here. New York was completely shut down, but I was supposed to fight Gregor Gillespie. He's a big name in the UFC. He was like 11 or 12-0 and just lost his first fight against Kevin Lee, one of my training partners. But I did something not too smart. I cut down to 155. I've never fought at 155. So I cut down to 155, and the weight cut drained me because everyone knows I walk around heavy. Gregor Gillespie wound up breaking his arm in training a week before the fight, so they switched my opponent. Um, I was just too drained. Third round came and I wasn't myself, and I wound up losing by, I think it was a split decision, but it was just a really really bad sloppy fight because I was just so drained from the weight cut. So, but that's my only loss in MMA. So at least I got the first one out of the way, and I haven't lost since.
So in your next fight, it was the fastest MMA stoppage, right?
The the next fight.
Next MMA fight after your first loss.
Oh yeah, I fought. Who did I fight? Someone Dillard. I fought
Michelle
in
Dillard.
Utah. Yeah, I fought in Utah, and that kid had a lot of MMA fights. I fought at 170, my comfortable weight class. I compete as an amateur at 170, and yeah, I wound up stopping him due to strikes. I took his back and wound up pounding him out, and he wound up just tapping due to strikes. That was a fun fight.
Yeah, and the next one against Zach Owens, we saw an armbar. I saw that fight actually.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun fight. I was able to stay composed and just go out there. And to get a win after coming off a loss was like a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, then you bounce back. I think 2 decision wins. Was unable to find it on YouTube though. Those fights.
Which fights? Let me see.
Let
Yeah, it
me
was a
see.
couple decision wins.
Yeah, then
Elijah
Huber and
Foley.
Elia Gaboli.
Yeah, I have that fight on YouTube. That was for Gladiators at a Cage. He was another undefeated kid, really hot prospect out of the East Coast, and I went out there and I gave him his first loss. Tough kid though.
And
Not too
how
bad.
did you defeat Leon? I don't know to pronounce his last name. Klieg, however.
Oh, Leon Klee.
Yeah.
I actually just watched that fight the other day on YouTube. I knocked him out bad. One of my favorite combos in MMA is I like to do a Superman punch and then come back with a head or a leg kick. And I wound up throwing a Superman punch a straight left down the pipe and wound up kicking his legs out from under him. And I wound up busting him up pretty bad. He actually got carted away in the ambulance after the fight. It was a grueling fight. It was another fight where I just let him come forward and I just picked my shots, or he just kept running into shots. And he was a last-minute replacement. He was 0-4, and he showed up at the weigh-in. So my opponent never showed, and he showed up and was like, "I'll take the fight." So that's a lot of respect to have for him.
Yeah, it's a very brave move. People usually don't accept the fight on a short notice. So, how did your last MMA fight go before inking Bkfc contract?
It went great. I fought a kid named Chris Quintalo for my first pro title. I think Chris was another undefeated cat, and really, really, really big physical specimen. He had like a 12. He looked like a Spartan. Had a 12-pack. He was just shredded. Taller than I was, but a really good wrestler. And I wound up beating him split decision, unanimous decision. And I almost knocked him out in the third round. I hit him in the liver. He went for a very wide takedown, and I wound up throwing a knee and hitting him in the liver. And I wound up swarming him, but he was able to. He was very, very strong, so he was able to just kind of hold on to me until the end of the round. But it was back in Pennsylvania. My dad, I had my son with me. They all flew up and watched me fight. So it was amazing to win a title, a pro title in front of my dad and my youngest kid. So it was a lot of fun.
Is there a difference when you fight? Don't take this question wrong. Is there a difference when you fight in front of your family and when your family is not here?
No. I usually don't. Like my father comes. My father will travel thousands of miles to watch me fight, but he'll never watch the fight. He'll just kind of duck his head down the whole time. But my children usually don't watch me fight live. They'll watch it after I come home because I can explain to them. Because I usually, like after my last fight, I don't know if you saw, I was pretty busted up.
Yeah.
And when I came home, my daughter, my 5-year-old, cried immediately. But I explained to her that I won, and so it's not really much of a difference. There's no distraction there because I don't like for that Chris Quintalo fight. My dad took my son for the week in New York, and I stayed in Pennsylvania to train, so it was less of a distraction. I actually didn't see them until after the fight, so they know how important it is to not be distracted.
That's amazing. When you decided to transition to Bkfc, you said you're pretty much all-rounder and so on. So how did you actually feel? Did it affect you psychologically or?
No, so my first actual bare knuckle fight was for a company called WBKFF. It was a guy from Poland put on the fight, and they called me and said, "Hey, would you like to fight Julian Lane?" And Julian Lane's a big name.
Yeah.
So me and Julian Lane fought. I lost to a split decision, very, very close fight. I was okay with the decision. We looked at each other and said, either way it goes. That's the fight that no one got paid. I don't know if you heard about that. No one,
No.
Johnny Hendricks, Phil Baroni, Chris Lieben, me, Dakota Cochran, Julian, none of us got paid. The guy was a fraud. So that really put a sour taste in my mouth because I just fought to a really, really gutty decision. But even after that fight, and even after all the drama where no one got paid, I loved it. It was only this fight was 3-minute rounds, but I didn't feel as beat up after the fight, so the transition was going to go well. I knew that I wanted to do this because how I felt after the fight. Even though I lost, physically, I wasn't like limping for days. I didn't take any kicks, so I knew right then and there, even though we didn't get paid and it was kind of a big drama show, it was something I wanted to do.
Why you didn't get paid? What happened?
So his name, he is a guy from Poland, a very rich guy, but he actually had some issues with the IRS. He was a felon. And you can look all this stuff up on Facebook, on Google. It's crazy. We're actually going through a lawsuit with him. But yeah, he just wrote everyone bad checks, like really bad check. He wrote me a bad check for $15,000. So no one got paid on the card. And me and my opponent, Julian Lane, we got fight of the night, and we won 2 Mustangs, 2 cars. And the Mustangs were impounded. They were like, it was kind of crazy. So that fight happened, and then I fought for another bare knuckle organization, and I wound up knocking my guy out in like 40 seconds in that fight. And it's just something I knew I wanted to do. This wasn't too bad.
So basically, which were the fights where you were paid actually? For which fights were you actually paid?
I was paid for every single one of my pro fights except for that first bare knuckle fight. My second bare knuckle fight was for the Dada 5000 backyard brawl.
That is good.
Yeah, we had to fight in that very small triangle cage, like very, very tiny cage. Dada 5000, actually, I told him, I said, listen, man, I didn't get paid for my last fight, so I need you to pay me first. Before I fly out to fight, before I even get into the cage, I need you to pay me first. Okay, ask mommy. So he gave me a check. He paid me before I even got to Wyoming, in good faith. So, and then I told him I'm going to put on a great show. They found me an opponent, and he was a tough guy, but I wound up knocking him out in I think it was like 40 seconds. It was the second fastest knockout that night. I think the first knockout was like 30 seconds or something like that.
And about bare knuckle fighting championship, you had 2 fights or?
I've had one. They signed me. And they gave me a tough opponent. Right, my first opponent was tough. It was Walter Barros, and he just fought Joe Riggs, and Joe Riggs is a big name.
I know.
And he just fought Joe Riggs to a draw. So I was like, oh man, and he knocked Joe Riggs down. Joe Riggs is tough. So they gave me this guy, and I said, okay, I'll fight him. And I wound up beating him split decision, but it was a 5-round war. We both beat each other up pretty well.
Yeah, you were swinging all the time. I was actually watching that fight, and you were pretty much swinging all the time. It kind of reminded me in some parts of that match. It kind of reminded me on Caleb Harris versus Jim Ellers.
Yeah, I actually didn't watch that fight, but I know how those guys fight, and that's a compliment to me because if I can mimic any of those guys, that'd be awesome.
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I'm not how to say. For me, it was fight of the night, and for the first 3 months, because Bkfc is now off, for the first 3 months, to me it was fight of the year, but Bkfc will happen more and so, but your fight kind of reminded me in some segments because you were swinging all the time. I don't know how to say, but you were trading shots, and that's something that people want to see, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought the fight was technical. We didn't just go out there swinging like bar fighters. We went out and it was technical, and it was out of all the fights, it was only the second fight to go to decision that night. I know that people want to see knockouts, but I haven't been I've never been knocked out or stunned. And Wahlberg is a tough opponent. He's not, so you're just going to get those two guys that can take each other's shots and put on a good show without producing a knockout. So it was a very good test for me, and it was a big confidence booster for me as well, as far as the competition I can hang with.
So you have never been knocked out?
No, never been knocked out, never been stunned. Julian knocked me down. I actually threw a Superman punch, and he kind of posted out, and he knocked me down. But as soon as he knocked me down, I gave him a thumbs up and popped back up. It didn't hurt, but I still hit the canvas, so it was considered a knockdown. But I've never been dazed. I've never been knocked out in a fight. I just got a hard head, and I know how to stay relaxed. I don't really tense up when I fight.
So in Bkfc, actually spinning punches and Supermans, it's allowed or not allowed? Not at all.
No, it's illegal. You can't spin or throw anything like that. The first fight, the other organization allowed it. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do something out of the ordinary. And I think I was the only fighter that whole night that threw spinning back fists and Superman punches. So it's just something different. It was a different aspect.
Yeah, because Luis Palomino, when I interviewed him, he fought. I don't remember the guy's name, but he did something. Who was the guy's name?
Brito?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. He spun, but he didn't throw a punch.
He did this, I think.
Yeah, something like that. So, but he wasn't aiming with the back of the hand.
Yeah. He aimed with this.
Yeah, he hit with the. But yeah, that was Palomino's tough, man. He's a tough dude.
Yeah, he was my guest, and he is awesome fighter, really awesome fighter. So, what can you say about your online war with Hector Lombard?
Oh man, Hector has been someone I wanted to fight for a while. Not specifically in MMA, but just especially when there was inklings about him signing with bare knuckle. Because I know he's a shorter guy, but he's big, he's thick. So I know he wasn't going to fight at 85 or 70, and I know he was going to fight in that 200 range. And when and me and my manager called it, we said Joe Riggs is going to get hurt. We know for some reason we just called it, and what happens? Joe Riggs gets hurt, and I called David Feldman and Nate Shook, the matchmaker for bare knuckle fighting championships. I said, please give me that fight. But my coach and my manager said, there's no way they're going to give you this fight because you can smash and beat Hector. They're going to pay him a lot of money not to lose. So what did they do? They gave him Dave Mundell. Dave Mundell is a tough guy, but he's not the smartest fighter.
I've seen.
No, he kind of mimics Hector. Short, stocky, kind of wild, southpaw. But after that fight, it just made me want to fight Hector more. I wasn't too impressed with him. So when I called him out on the MMA Uncensored podcast or whatever it was, and when I call people out, it doesn't happen very often, and I don't talk crap. I don't curse, and I don't do the whole the Conor McGregor stuff. I don't go crazy. I call you out respectfully, and I don't curse you out and this and that. But he didn't like the fact that I called him out. So, and it's the reaction I wanted. But I have him on. I tag him on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, no problem.
Baby, can you tell them to go upstairs, please? Thank you. Sorry about that. Kids are going crazy.
No problem. It's okay.
Crazy. But when I called him out, it's the reaction I wanted, and I'm tagging him everything. I have Hector's phone number. I write him on WhatsApp. I text him on the phone. He reads my messages, but he don't answer. So I'm a young, hungry fighter. I'm 30. I just turned 31 last month. I have a lot of years ahead of me, especially in bare knuckle. But it's very clear he wants to fight Johnny Hendricks. It's very clear that he does not want a challenge. He wants an easy payday.
Johnny Hendricks.
But I mean, if I have to talk crap to get a big payday and to fight who I want, I'm gonna have to do it.
I know. I mean, Caleb Harris also never trash talks. I mean, I've never seen him trash talking.
No, it's not my style. And Caleb is a nice guy. We just want to show up and fight. But unfortunately, it's fighters have to realize it is not the fight business. It is the entertainment business now.
Yes.
So, as the owner, Feldman wants ratings. He wants pay-per-view. He wants drama. So we have to give him that. To get a big payday, we have to give him that. And I don't mind adding a couple extra zeros on the end of my paycheck just by talking a little bit of crap, you know?
I know, I get it, everything. So, the next question, alright, right now it's obvious that you will hardly fight Hector, so who could be your next opponent, according to your thoughts? Who might be the next one?
If Joe Riggs is healthy, I'd like to fight Joe Riggs, another tough game, southpaw. I was supposed to fight Dakota Cochran, but I wound up getting hurt. I wound up tearing my bicep in February. So that made me decide that I'm not going to fight at 185 anymore. I'll just fight at 200. Because I walk around at 220, so it's only a 20-pound weight cut, so it's not much on the body. But Joe Riggs is another opponent. I really wanted to fight Wanderlei Silva, but I have a funny feeling that he's not going to sign with the promotion. I don't think you'll ever see Wanderlei Silva in a bare-knuckle fighting ring. So it's just he's too beat up. He has too many symptoms of CTE, and it just wouldn't be a good career move for him. But anyone they put in front of me, I'd like to fight. But right now, I would like to fight a name. You know, I'm coming off a win. I'm on a 2-fight win streak, and I would just like to fight a name.
Yeah, it would be good. Would you like to add something to this interview? Is there something that we missed?
No, just fight me, Hector. That's all I want. That's all I want. I want Hector to man up and stop being afraid and just fight. You know, to sign the contract and do what you're supposed to do, and that's fight. That's all.
Great. Thank you for this lovely interview. I will publish it on Friday, as now I'm not home, but on Friday I will publish it.
Absolutely. Well, I do appreciate the time, Brad. It means a lot to me.
Thank you, Joey. Catch you all next time. Be sure we will talk another time. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. You too. Stay safe.